Hey friends, Joe Sheldon here, host and creator of the Seattle Experience with Joe Sheldon podcast. I want to take a moment to say thank you for listening to our inaugural episode with special guest Storm Monette and my co-host Kayla Kaluna. I look forward to bringing you all kinds of stories from the Seattle area throughout the year, from personal stories to organizations that make living here better, to local governments and everything in between, just to learn and explore the Seattle area and everything it has to offer. This is going to be a really exciting adventure, and I'm so glad you are here for the ride. So let's dive in and see what Storm has to say about investing in the Seattle area. Today, I have my co-host, Kayla Kaluna. Kayla is a real estate agent here with Designed Realty. What other background would you like to introduce about yourself?
Ooh, what background do I have? I staged for a few years. That's kind of how I stay. That's kind of the most interesting part. That's all I got. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. I think you're much more interested in that.
Oh, thanks.
And then we have Storm Monette, who is one of our agents, also at Designed Realty, and an investor and flipper and builder and all this other stuff. We'll get more into your background and bio in a little bit. And let's start with some market information. Kayla, tell us about the real estate market. What are you seeing
let me
there?
tell you about the market, Joe. All right. So what I've been seeing lately, obviously we're in winter, and so it's been pretty slow, but we've been seeing quite a few sellers prepping their houses for the market. A lot of them are waiting till spring. I've seen one or two houses. If it's a good bread and butter kind of house, I've seen it multiple offers. So it's not like it's impossible to sell a house.
Even in the winter.
Even in the winter. I got beat out last week. I was a little bit sad about it, but we're gonna be okay. Yeah, but a lot of prepping for the spring. So that's what I've been seeing lately.
What does spring mean to you guys? The spring market, when?
That's such a good question.
End of February. It's interesting too. A lot of people predicted we'd have a long tail of the fall. That fall would the market would stretch a little bit. And I haven't seen that, I think, because of the election. That it's been like, I don't know, it's interesting. Like it was a little bit slow before the election, but the activity has been continuing into even into the holidays, where usually it would kind of cut sooner.
Yeah.
But even then, August was like the slowest month in years.
So slow.
It was crazy. I accidentally took a vacation then. Whole month I was out of here.
Vacations are the best. It's one of the best things about real estate, isn't it?
So true.
Yeah. I'm curious. So February, do you think it might pick up earlier at all, or you're still thinking February?
Well,
I know it varies. Like March, April.
Yeah, I usually see end of February. It's also interesting because sometimes in January and February, I've still seen pretty active because buyers will come back into the market. So they're like, oh, it's the new year. Okay, let's go. But then sellers aren't ready. Yeah, sellers aren't ready to list yet, right? And so sometimes we'll see pretty good activity January, February, but I feel like the real off to the races is kind of starts more into March. I think March is usually pretty active.
Pretty solid, yeah. I think March is that's the 1 month you can confidently tell somebody this will be a good.
Yes, for sure.
After April, you never know.
Yeah.
It's funny. It used to be, I think, May. You had to wait till May. That was the spring in real estate when I started, and it's every year pushing forward and forward and forward.
I totally agree. I feel like June this year was slower.
Yeah.
Pretty slow, because usually it's May is super strong, and then June is also strong. June already started getting so slow, and then I feel like the summer slump this year was pretty brutal.
I felt it, definitely. I was also thinking, one thing I noticed this year that seemed to have an effect, but also the elections had this weird effect, but the Boeing strike. Because I noticed it's hard because they ended the strike the day before the election, so I don't know what was there, but I had a listing in Everett near Boeing that was sitting for months. And then as soon as the strike ended and the election happened, we got multiple offers.
Wow, right. Interesting.
Do you notice anything? I've had a few clients. In fact, we had one that was in contract, and they backed out because they worked for Boeing and they got noticed they'd get furloughed, so they backed out.
Man. Wow.
Any experience with that? Or
yeah, I just noticed it. We're more King County a little bit. So I actually remember that happened really strongly in 2022. That fall, rates had picked up, and then all the tech companies announced layoffs. And it was so slow because I had a Bellevue listing and it sat and sat and sat and sat because it's just the threat of it right, was enough to make people be like, oh, maybe we'll wait and see what.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was after a rough year. It's just the market just iced. Scary. Hopefully got a few good years ahead of us. Mortgages. So we are seeing mortgage rates come down a little bit. You guys hadn't talked to clients who are considering mortgage rates in their decisions? I'm curious what people are thinking right now. Because they've come down, what, about 0.1% in the last couple of months, despite Fed rates being lower?
Yeah, well, we've been working with a lot of sellers lately. And when we meet someone who's been in their house for 10 years and their rate is 2%, like it feels unimaginable to leave that. So I feel like that's where a lot of the inventory has been held up, which I don't blame them. I would do the same thing. I would never move.
Yeah. The golden handcuffs.
Yep.
The golden handcuffs of the rate. Yeah. I think it's like they just haven't moved enough, right? And it was interesting too, because I feel like they actually went up a little bit. Like they came down and then now they're back up again. And I even told my clients, I was like, because, it's baked into the rate when they announce that they're going to lower. Right. And so I kind of told them, I was like, hey, if I was you guys, obviously it's your decision, but I might lock before the actual Fed announcement, because if it's weak, we'll actually see them go up. And sure enough,
which is what happened.
That's what happened. Yeah. Because, it's like they already baked it into the bond market. And then, anything that isn't like a huge, ridiculous cut, which they're not going to, considering how they've been. Yeah, they've been.
I feel like the speculators have been very bullish on the cuts.
Yeah.
Way more than what we're
so bullish. And then Jay Powell has been so conservative.
Yes.
And every time he's like, oh, we're going to wait.
Please stop waiting. Please, Jay. This is our prayer to you.
Yeah.
So we have a few questions we have to ask and then some fun ones. So one, are mortgage rates going to go down further in 2025? What do you guys think?
I think they will. I think yes. I think it also depends on if certain economic policies push us further into a recession. I think if that happens, they will 100% come down, because that's like the only lever they have to stop a recession. So I mean, student debt is really high.
It is.
That's an indicator of recession, but we've been kind of on the brink and avoiding it for a while now. So yeah, we're kind of on that knife's edge.
What do you think? Rates up, down?
I think they're going to hover for a bit, but based on total vibes, 100%
I love vibes. Mr. Predicto is all about the vibes.
Zero logic. I think they're gonna go down to 6.5 for a hot sec, but they're gonna skyrocket back to like 9.
Really?
Let's read.
Wow.
A full prediction.
I don't actually think that you're wrong necessarily. I think it depends on, like you said, the policies.
Yeah.
I mean, if we
how the economy's doing.
If we really get 25% tariffs on everything,
well, did you see someone?
It's going to be bad.
100% tariffs onto China.
100%.
Yeah, I think it'll depend. The interesting thing I think is also not just will rates come down, but what is that magic number that will make sellers be okay selling,
right,
when their rate is kind of 3, 2, right? All of that. I think that almost is the more interesting question, because that's kind of the thing that will make the difference for inventory and the market really picking up and getting the turnover we need. And statistics show that is 5%.
I think that's going to be tough.
We have a ways to go.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
We see 6% unless there's some wild card factor in there, which Lord knows politically we have a big wild card right now. Who knows? I have no idea where that's going to go. And I think that is the biggest thing that we just, who knows? So we have Miss Storm Monette here, and I didn't get a bio from you, so I don't have a bio to read out. Tell us about your background. That's okay. You're just on the spot. You have to tell us live.
Sure. So I went to Stanford. I got my degree in neuroscience, which obviously I do not use anymore. And the psychology part I do use, though. That part is great. The social psychology part, which that's a big part of neuroscience. They're actually combined at Stanford, the departments, psychology and neuroscience. And after graduation, I worked for a VR gaming startup. I was their marketing lead, which actually leads into a lot of what we do in real estate. A lot of it is marketing listings, marketing yourself, finding clients, things like that. And then they were acquired by Meta, and I decided I wanted to try something new. And my family actually has a background in multifamily investing. And so that was something I was always really interested in. And I actually only got my license to be able to write offers for myself as an investor and have access to MLS and more data and stuff like that, and to learn more about the market and the process and everything like that. So I wasn't actually even expecting to be an agent. I thought I was just going to come in and, and then come out and do my, I have done that as well, but also have enjoyed working as an agent. I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting, actually. Yeah. And so then me and my husband do the investing together. Originally, we were planning to do multifamily investing, but I'm really into numbers and I let the numbers decide. So we put it all in a spreadsheet and it's all money over time, right? And so what we realized is that if you have the bandwidth to actively invest and you have the market knowledge to be able to understand how to add value to a property, that doing like a buy, add value, and sell actually nets you a lot more money in a lot quicker time frame. And so we quickly gravitated towards that. And yeah, and I think one of the questions also was kind of about like what I've done for investing. So we have done 2 really large scale remodel flips where we're down to the studs. So everything was new. It was down to the framing, new insulation, new drywall, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, basically like rebuilding the house from the inside out. So we've had 2 of those completed projects that went very well, both of them very profitable. And then we had another smaller flip that I did for a family member. They were underwater. They were underwater with closing costs on their house because they had bought it recently and then needed to sell. And so we helped them just like flip it, prep it for market, and they actually made money on the sale. And they sold it within 6 months of buying it.
Oh,
Most people would lose in that scenario, right? And so they actually made a good chunk. Yeah, so that was more of just as a favor to them. And it's also a little bit of what we do for clients too, right? All of us have experience helping coach clients of like what can actually make you money and what wouldn't. For me, it's a little bit even easier just because I get preferred pricing because I have like a team of people, right? And then I also did one where originally we were planning to a larger scale, again, a remodel, and one that was such a large scale remodel that it required permitting. But with the changes in the market, and just looking at that micro market in particular, because micro markets are so important for investing, we kind of realized that it was a little risky and it could make money. It could break even.
Which micro market was this?
Lake Forest Park.
Okay.
Yes. And so we decided to kind of cut our losses. And so we did a small remodel and we sold it. We broke even, right? And I think that's also really important as an investor is knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, essentially, right? Knowing when to just be willing to walk away. Even if it's a loss, a small loss is better than a bigger loss, right? And not having that sunk cost fallacy, and back to always letting the numbers decide, always let the data decide, try to take the emotion out of it. And yeah.
When it's not going in your direction, don't hold on hope that it might just magically go the other way.
Yes, correct. Don't be with the copium, right? Being like, oh, just because I hope it will work out. No, you gotta be pretty pragmatic and realistic. And then right now we have acquired our first new construction teardown, which will be really interesting and exciting because we've actually done an all of basically everything of building a house except for the foundation, framing it from scratch, even though we have done some framing, like reframing walls and stuff, and the siding. So it'll be interesting to have those 3 and the excavation, right, and all of that. And also the long permitting process. So right now we're working with the architect and we're in that permitting process, and that will take about 8 months, and then we'll build. So yeah. And looking for another flip too in the meantime.
That is
Mr. Predicto, hopefully we'll get one sooner than later.
So where is, what neighborhood or what city are you building?
It's in Redmond, in Education Hill.
That's nice.
Yeah. So we're really bullish. And for flips, you want to get in and out so quickly that you don't really take into consideration appreciation. But for builds, actually, you do. Because usually a completion time for a full new construction build will be anywhere from about 1.5 to 2 years, right? And so it actually does matter, right? Because you might make an extra $200,000 if it's an appreciating market just off of holding it for those 2 years, right?
Land.
Yeah, and so that Education Hill, North Redmond area is one that we're really bullish on because light rail's opening in Redmond
Yep.
this year. All the new construction in the Woodinville wine country area, all that like luxury commercial construction, as well as there's a big Murray Franklin development. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but they're building like all these houses and all of them are going for like 4 to 5 million.
Really? Where is that one at?
It's right in that like Woodinville wine area. I think they bought like a bunch of acres for something like 16 million. These numbers are not right. I'm sure they're like, but it's just roughly, right? And so we watched them buy it and we're like, ooh, what are they going to do with it? And so they're building all these luxury like estate properties, but they're not really estate like you would consider usually for Hollywood Hills, like 5 acres. They were like around 1 acre. And they're still, it's like kind of more of a normal neighborhood and they're all going for like over 4, which is insane. So that just tells me like the price point in Woodinville, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's already a luxury neighborhood, but even more with the new construction. So yeah. And that Education Hill area is an interesting area because it's not as turned over as like Lake Hills, right? Or something like that in Bellevue.
A lot of room to.
Yeah. There's a lot of room for turnover. And actually just anecdotally, a lot of homeowners are getting cold mailings from builders. That to me is
that tells you where they want to be building.
And there's a lot in progress in that hill. So I think we're going to start seeing some pretty high comps in that area.
And a lot of those homes are, what are they, like 1970s and early 80s builds?
Yeah, even 60s.
Yeah. Which is kind of where the ones in Bellevue where they're being torn down, they're 40s, 50s, 60s. So you're kind of getting to that era where they're old enough that it makes sense to just scrap them.
Yeah. And size is a big factor too, right? 1,700 square feet, which is
today
historically not a small house, but in our current standards, there is. So I actually won't buy a flip unless it's over 2,500 square feet.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I won't even consider it. And it's because it just eliminates a lot of buyers, especially in this area where people value square footage a lot more because we're inside so often.
Yes.
Versus a place like, in like Palm Springs or something, right? Where it's like, there you have
you're more about the yard.
Right? Yeah, because people are inside all the time. They want storage for outdoor activity. Yeah.
That's really funny because I have a long-term client who struggled because they had money and they wanted nice home and everything in view. But they didn't want the square footage. And there's nothing out there. They wanted something that was turnkey and nice and new and all that. And it took years, and they finally bought something that was bigger than they wanted because couldn't get anything that's small.
I had that exact same. I totally agree. I had that exact same experience with 2 clients. They both wanted to downsize. Both ended up with a 4,000 square foot house. Nothing that nice with that view. It's because that's where the money is too, right? You can justify a higher price because of the price per square foot.
Exactly.
So you've done flip. What made you decide to get into the new build side of things?
That's a great question. Flips have certain pitfalls to them.
Do tell.
One of those is, so basically there's certain things you can't fix, right? No matter what you do, you can't fix it. Like a bad floor plan or a low ceiling or things like that. And because you can't fix it, you're better off just not buying it. So we will actually look at thousands of properties and we will tour hundreds. And our last flip, we made 23 offers before we got one accepted at the price we wanted. So we're very, very, very choosy for flips for that reason, right? Because there's a lot of things you can't change. And so there would be a lot of things where we'd want the person to be like, instant no, just because you can't fix it, right? So being able to build something from scratch that is the perfect thing that everyone wants, right? And you can do like whatever is the, so I'm really into like the scullery kitchen. That's one of those big design trends that people love, right? Scullery kitchen. It's like the second.
I've never heard of this.
So it's basically a walk-in pantry that also is a kitchen. So it's a second kitchen with a sink, with a dishwasher. So you have your show kitchen and then you have like the work dirty, put your dishes in their kitchen.
It's like a really expanded butler's pantry.
Kind of, yeah. And private, and you can close the door on it. So you can put all your mess in there and then keep the show kitchen, right? Or if you just want to heat up a little thing with like a microwave, right? You don't have to dirty your like.
Right.
So it's less cleaning and you can kind of hide the mess and things like that. So that's something that's a design trend I think is really cool, right? And you could only do that in a new construction.
Right.
Or the bedroom, ensuite guest bedroom on the main floor for parents. That's so popular. You can do that because you're building it from scratch and you can build these things that you know people like, or is a cool thing that's, oh, that's so great. Or the other one is the master closet
primary closet.
The primary closet that connects to the laundry. Yeah. Yes. That's another one that's super, super popular, right? So it's cool to be able to do all of that. So that's the first pitfall of flips. The second pitfall with flips is that there are a lot of issues with them. There's so many issues that come up that you're not expecting. So you'll go and you'll open a wall, and all of a sudden, because of the place where the plumbing stack is, now we can't put that HVAC where you wanted it, and we can't do this or we can't do that. And then you're scrambling and trying to find a solution. And there are all these issues that you run into that you're not expecting because you're not planning it from the ground up. Versus when you planned it from the ground up, it's actually
know everything.
easier. Yeah, and it's easier to manage too because you're not problem solving.
Right.
You have all the plans, you hand them out to the subs, and they just build it. And then the third problem is buyer kind of opinion or the way buyers kind of react to flips. And basically this is that for some reason, people think building is really expensive and remodeling is really cheap. And that is not true. Not true whatsoever. And I think HGTV has to contributed to this too, to be honest, right? Because people think, this remodel probably cost $50,000. No.
Do you remember Trading Spaces when it first came out? Oh gosh, I can't remember her name, the host. It was great. But there was two neighbors that would switch and they would do a room in each other's houses. That was like the first original HGTV. And they had $1,000 budget, which is
gosh.
So first of all, yes, a lot of the stuff was janky as heck.
Yeah,
it's just
anyone to do that in my house.
Yeah.
Actually, but other than that, absolutely no. Sorry, Joe.
I would not either. I remember a few episodes where they came home and literally
what is that?
They had to cut filming because the people would start crying. It was so bad. And I've read stories where they've had to go in and completely redo them because they were so bad. But $1,000 budget, what are you gonna do? I mean, yeah. And then I think a weekend. I think it was 2 days they had, Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
And all they had was a designer and then a handyman kind of person or contractor. But that's it. That was their crew. It was just two people. It's insane.
That leads me to another question then. So a lot of people will get kind of a fixer-upper house and they're like, I can remodel this. I can flip it. I can be a designer. I can be the contractor. I can be all these things and do all these things. But they can't. At the end of the day, they don't know how the numbers work. There's just some disconnect between what you do professionally as an investor and a mom and pop just wanting to make a few extra bucks. What difference do you see in that mindset, or is there a strategy that you have that they don't?
Yeah, there is a lot of pieces to this. I think one of the other pieces as well is us as buyers, agents, being able to guide people. And I know you guys are able to do this too, because there's a big difference between remodeling a 1950s house and remodeling a 1950s house.
Right.
That's a big difference. Or a 1920s house, right? There are kind of these buckets where as you're dealing with structural concerns, foundation issues, hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially just on that.
Well, almost everything has to be considered.
Yeah. And then for 50s, I would say is where you get in the plumbing and electrical needs to be brand new. It's done, right? And you're ripping open the walls and you're dealing versus these, it might just be cosmetic and having someone come in and do some paint and stuff like that, right? Especially if you're doing it for yourself, because then also the price doesn't matter as much, right?
You figure profit into it. Your profit is your enjoyment of it.
Exactly. And there's an easy way too. So for me, I have my budget and then my profit, right? For them, and then this is the market value, right? And so I need it to contain both of those. For an end user, you can still be, maybe your budget is the whole difference between your purchase and your market value, right? Because you don't need to be making profit, but you can still feel good, you're not underwater in your equity, right? Or maybe even you got a little bit of equity, not enough to make it worth it, maybe if you're me, right? But enough to make it worth it if you're enjoying it. But I think the other big thing is that, so when I remodel, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, very expensive. But that is also me having relationships with suppliers that I've built over time, having relationships with contractors that I've built over time, have even people in-house that work for me hourly that are my team of people, right? As well as kind of understanding what things cost and knowing where I can cut costs and things like that. So that's the thing where if someone was to remodel who's an end user who doesn't have all of that knowledge and experience, it might cost them double.
They're paying retail for everything.
It might cost them triple. And that's also another thing where us being agents and having a network of contractors that we trust, because that is actually one of the hardest things, because people are getting gouged out there big time.
Crazy how much it costs.
They are getting prices. We had this one client who was wanting to replace a deck before listing. And I looked at it. I just got a quote for a deck from my guy, right? And I know it's probably like 15 grand. You got quoted like $70,000.
I can't imagine paying that much for
I was flabbergasted, but this happens all the time. I see it online all the time. People posting, does this sound like a reasonable price for XYZ? I just don't know. No, not a reasonable price. So yeah, I think that's part of it too. And especially in our area where everything's expensive, cost of living is expensive, labor is expensive. The other thing too is I do think people sleep on the value of interior design. And so that's actually something where I realized my skill set was a little bit lacking there. So I went to community college, Bellevue College.
Of course you did.
And I took classes and I learned how to use all the software and I learned how to do the renders and all of that. And also I subscribed to Interior Design Magazine and I follow that on Instagram. Like most of my Instagram feed is interior design because it's something where you do actually really have to keep up with it and kind of have an eye for it. And I've seen flippers go horribly wrong because of design. They didn't have the design. And I've seen end users also go horribly wrong where they spend an arm and a leg remodeling, but yeah.
Or the gray modern farmhouse that was like 10 years ago.
Yes. We call that the updated, outdated.
Yeah.
It's where it is remodeled, but gosh, it doesn't look good, does it? Yes. Yeah. So I would say it's tough, right? It's tough. And I think that's something where if you're a buyer and you want to remodel it for yourself, I do also warn my clients. I said, hey, I'm happy to recommend you many contractors. I have a lot of relationships. I can recommend you people who aren't going to scam you, because that happened to me too when I was starting out. Got scammed for $30,000 by a cabinet maker who never actually, very expensive, very expensive. I learned it and I never had to learn it again. And now I'm really picky about how and when I pay people, right? But and there's also, contractors who are great that you can trust who aren't because they have a business and they care about it, right? But there are a lot of scammers out there too. People who aren't going to scam you, people who aren't going to gouge you on price. I'm happy to give you recommendations of like where I buy interior design and things like that. But it's a full-time job. The amount of hours I work when I'm working on one of my flips or right after this, I have to go meet with my architect, right? Like that, it is a full-time job and it's stressful. Especially if you're trying to live in the house model at the same time, that is incredibly stressful. And I read a statistic that the two most common things that lead to divorce, finances and remodeling.
Checks out.
Finances and remodeling are also probably kind of interrelated, right? And that's another thing that I have to warn clients about is if you are planning to do a remodel project, don't take on debt to do it.
Right.
Set money aside. Right? Be careful. It gets really expensive really fast. It will always be over time. It will always be over budget. Be cautious. You don't want to end up in a bad spot. So tread with caution if you're an end user wanting to do a remodel.
I don't know about you, but I get so nervous when I have a first time buyer. It's like, we want a project. I'm like, not for your first home, please. I don't want you hating owning a home. I want you to like your home. Like just start small, live in it, understand what it takes to maintain it. And then you can go for the big project.
Yeah, totally.
You can have a paintbrush and a bucket of paint. That's it.
Yeah. Or get something that's in really good shape, but you could add a little something to it, right?
Some cosmetic updates.
Yeah. Easy stuff, little paint, little.
If you really want to. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you really want a project, maybe countertops. Not everything. I'm really curious. You've got a lot of experience in it now, and talking about contractors and. As we know, a lot of them are fly by night, literally, and are here today, gone tomorrow. For somebody who is looking to do a project, how do you recommend they vet their contractors, or where do they look?
Yeah.
To my clients.
How do you not get scammed?
Yeah, exactly.
Having the team and having the right contractors is, I would say, half of the battle, actually. It is so important. And as an investor or someone who's just doing a remodel, it will absolutely make or break you. Like, I think one of the other people in our office had a client who was interested in flipping, and they got quoted like 80 grand for a remodel. Ended up costing like 5 times that.
Yeah.
Ended up costing like $500,000, right? And so that's something where you do really have to be careful. I've gotten scammed. I know tons of people who've gotten scammed. It is an epidemic in this business, right? In contracting, unfortunately. So I have a couple hard and fast rules for myself that are lessons that I learned the hard way. Expensive, painful, stressful lessons, right?
So we don't have to learn.
I'll tell you. So number one is I will not hire a contractor unless I have a direct referral. Not from, oh, I know them from high school. Not from, oh, they're really great. You know, I've talked to them. I'm planning to use them. I completed a project with them. I was happy with the work. I was happy working with them. I was happy with the price. I will not accept a contractor unless I have that.
So lesson one, don't just hire friends and family.
Yeah.
Hire professionals.
Yes.
Actually have professionals.
Professional references. And so, but then the question is, well, who do you find to get that,
Right.
right? So I think that's where having a network is really important. So I network with other investors. I network with other agents. I network through my own contractors. So like if my plumber is amazing, I'm going to ask him, well, hey, who do you like for tile? That's how I found my tile guy. My tile guy is awesome. He's like, great. Yeah, his quality is just
Awesome.
chef's kiss. And I'm very picky for quality. So I am like so happy. So I think that's a big thing is getting that direct referral, right? Especially in this business because it is a little bit the wild west, right?
I like the idea of somebody that they've worked with because they've actually seen their work, like probably on site somewhere, watch them work.
Yes.
And from a professional point of view as well, not just, me standing there not knowing what's going on.
Correct. And were they on time? Did they complete the work to your standards? Did they do what they thought they would do? Was the quote accurate? Right? All of these things are super important. And then after that, the second piece is you do not pay. Maybe you can do like 20% upfront or whatever it is. You do not pay until everything's done.
Until everything is done.
The inspection is done for their piece. Sorry.
Right.
The inspection is done. You've signed off on it. They have done every tiny little thing. Anything that they still need to do that once their work is completely done, it's been signed off by the city. It's been signed off by the other subs who need to come after them. 100% there's no lingering things that they have to do. Only then you pay.
Now I have a question for you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that most contractors that are good are okay with that?
Correct. They should.
'Cause I feel like if somebody says, no, I won't do that, it's kind of a red flag.
Upfront, or I need the money now, or can't you just give it to me? 100% red flag. Yeah, they should be totally fine with that. But then once their work is completed and you've signed off on it and you've checked all of it, pay them promptly, right? Pay them immediately. Because contractors get scammed too by homeowners, flaking out on them, not paying, they do the work and then they don't get paid. So that's the other thing too, right? Is like
do it quickly. It's a really good way to get them back.
Yeah. And you have that, like, I value my contractors a lot. I think very highly of them. I respect them a lot. And I want them to be taken care of. I always want them to be paid in a timely manner. I want them to feel it's fair, right? All of these things, because they are really, once you find someone who's good, it's like really valuable. Yeah. And then I will take the opportunity to refer them business, right? To other clients or to people come to me, right? The same way how I go to people and ask for referrals, people come to me because they know I have people, and then I refer them more business too. So, and they appreciate that, right? And then
absolutely, yeah. And again, they're getting referrals from you, so they know that if you're referring somebody, then you probably know them, and it's better than just the family and friends referrals.
Yeah, totally. And the other part too that's tough is that rule about not paying until the work has been completed. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way that even if you trust a contractor, something can happen. Something can change in their life. And even someone you've worked with for years can have a personal situation that causes them to suddenly not be reliable in a way you've grown to expect. So that's something where always with respect, it's not personal, it's business. You want to think the best of people, but always protect yourself. Always, right? And you have to be kind of paranoid a little bit,
Yeah, you should be. That's a lot of money to not be paranoid.
The paranoid survives. Yeah.
Do you write your own contracts or?
For the contractor, This may be so okay with the contractors. I think the biggest thing is you want in writing every single thing that they're going to do because you can refer back to it. Oh no, remember you did say you were going to replace the fascia too, or remember you did say that railing was part of your painting bid. All of those little things, right? And you almost want to be over the top. Every tiny little thing, like even if it's like a 2-page document, every single thing they're agreeing to. And no, it's like making a list and checking it twice.
Right.
Right. You want to be doing that. And the reason why is I do not think contracts are worth the paper they're printed on, unfortunately, because you're never going to sue. Most likely.
Right.
Because suing is so expensive. Once that money is gone, and also the person who's going to flake on you for money is because they don't have any money.
Right.
You're never going to squeeze any juice out of that rock, right? So that's why for the contracts, I think they are really valuable in terms of setting expectations and having something to refer back to where you're like, no. Actually, yeah, that railing was part of the bid. I'm not going to pay $600 extra for it.
Right.
I negotiated as part of my bid, right? And also that contractors are negotiable, right? That you can say, and sometimes if I think a bid is high, I will bid it around a little bit and ask them to match it. If I think that person's really good, but I think they're inflating their price a little bit, that happens too. So again, it's one of those things where I respect my contractors a lot and I really like them and I really want to give them more business and keep working with them, but it's not personal, it's business.
Right.
If I think their bid is high, I'm going to bid it around a little bit. And also I'm going to make them write every single tiny little thing they're going to do.
Well, if you're bidding around, you have to have full list, else you're not going to get a comparable bid.
Yeah, totally.
Those are some huge pro tips I wouldn't have thought about. Like, don't pay till the end, write every single thing down. Is there anything else that's kind of like maybe common knowledge to you, but not to everybody else who doesn't do this every day?
Yeah, I would say, well, even with the contractors, ideally, once the work is done, you'd pay them and have them sign a lien release because you're going to want to provide those to escrow or the buyer.
Good call.
Another piece of it as well is ask all of them about their warranty because most of them will have a warranty, and before you pay them, get that warranty in writing, provide it to your buyer. It provides value to the buyer as well. So that's another thing that I like to do before I pay. Yeah, trying to think.
That is really good.
Yeah. Let me take some notes here. Yeah, I never would have thought of the lien release, but you're right, especially if you're selling, because escrow is going to require, was it 6 months or something?
Yeah, and I think the big
It's just good to have.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just when you are holding back the money, you have the leverage. As soon as that money is gone, now you're asking them for a favor, and everyone's busy, right?
Right.
And it's not even that they're trying to dodge your calls or whatever, right? But you want to ask for anything that you want to ask for it up front,
right,
before you pay. Just because human nature, if they want to get paid, they'll be like Johnny on the spot, ready to get you anything.
Right.
Versus if you wait till after
they've moved on.
Yeah, you're chasing them, trying to be like, by the way, could I get that thing? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's not necessarily nefarious, but they're, next projects are, it's not by on my way. And then,
and then they forget or, I'll call you later. And then they never do. And then you end up calling them 6 times to get that thing that you would have gotten right away. Right. So, yeah.
Thinking of the contractor you were talking about that had the personal issues.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I ran into with him.
Yeah. That one was really
started out great. And then suddenly it just started going badly. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
contractor time. All right. Well, now I have like 1,000 more questions I could ask you. So we're going to get to that. But we're going to move on to some Seattle trivia. You guys are going to be competing. And I have we got our buzzers.
Okay. So if we know the answer, we buzz in.
Yes.
And then whoever buzzes first and answers correctly wins.
Why are you staring me down like that?
Questions on.
I thought we were competing.
You are. Wow. She's intimidating you.
Sure.
Got to get the higher chair and everything. So you're looking down.
Play trivia every week.
No, wow.
So I'm at a disadvantage here.
Absolutely not.
No.
Maybe a little rum Diet Coke.
Yeah. Trivia is all about the tacos. We did win one week. What do you think?
Absolutely not. That's how you won.
It was fun. It's kind of sad that you weren't there. And I think Christina was there and then she left early before we got our prize. And then nobody believed that we won.
I did.
That's so funny.
All right. So our theme is, what Seattle city are these following restaurants located in? Seattle area city. Some are easy, some are less easy.
Oh dear.
You ready?
I'm so ready.
Canlis.
Okay, this is up near where you go. It's like in Seattle.
You just have to name the city, not the neighborhood.
Really? So just Seattle.
You got it.
Oh, that's too easy.
For now.
I wonder if that area. I'm like trying to remember what would you even refer to that as?
I guess that would be Westlake, right?
Is it?
Because it's right at the.
Yeah. It's right at the.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a very.
Oh,
Yeah. It's like right at the very tip of Westlake.
Yeah.
Before you get on the bridge. I haven't actually eaten there, but
Oh, really?
it's fantastic.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah.
No.
Did you see they decorated it as Ken for?
My God.
Literally, they did the entire. They repainted the entire building.
That's amazing.
Called
Yeah.
Canlis.
Yeah, that was so amazing. I wish I could have gone to that event. That was
Yeah,
fun.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the food was really good. They had really nice art there too, and the view was beautiful. It was a little. I like places that kind of are a little more vibey. It was very like white. Yeah, gloves on some of the people. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, very prim and proper.
Watch my mouth in there. All right, next one. Ascend Prime Steak and Sushi.
Bellevue.
I love a
I was gonna say
I haven't been there yet.
there.
You haven't either?
You guys love
that. That's great. The view. Go in the summer when the view.
like at night.
Yeah.
Like we could see all the.
They have a good happy hour. That's why I like the ones in the high rises and down. Yeah,
I
like Daniel's
do-
happy hour.
I don't
I
know if
agree.
I've been to their happy hour actually, but the view is excellent. Yeah, go during the day. That's the thing, actually, not the night
okay.
view, the day view, because it is crazy. And then if you can go for the sunset too, yeah.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
All right, number 3. Matt's Rotisserie and Oyster House. I knew you were going to get this one.
Oh, I
Friends that work there. It's in Redmond.
You know, yeah, friends that work there, but that makes sense.
do they have oysters?
They actually do. They have like nachos that are really good, and then like oysters. You would love it.
It's been.
I know we're working on our way through the Redmond restaurant because we've only been there for a few weeks.
It's right in the town center. Yeah, it's been there forever too. It's one of the few restaurants that's lasted for a long time.
Oh, cool.
It's been like 10 or 15 years. Yeah.
You know where I love actually an oyster happy hour is Rock Creek in Seattle. I think they just opened one in Kirkland too, actually. But they do oysters Rockefeller. Oh my God, they're so good. They're like with bacon and
Loaded oysters.
Okay, I'm in. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Ano Poke.
I don't think that's in Edmonds.
Yes, it is.
I've eaten there too. It's
For a second, I was like, he knows Ono sushi too.
Have you been to Sushi Kashi?
No.
Have you been to Sushi Tanada?
No.
Have you been to Sushi?
I haven't been to sushi in probably 10 years.
I know.
No, not at all. All right, here's a trick one. Bobby's Hawaiian.
Oh, I don't know that one.
There's one in Kenmore, but I don't think that's Bobby's.
No, but I know what you're talking about. This Buddha bread.
It's that one's so good. I know that one.
Bobby's is so good. It's where Bobby is Hawaiian, and they're actually featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dive. And that is in Linwood. Yes, best Hawaiian in the Seattle area. Totally authentic.
Yeah.
Kind of a dive, one of those places.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I mean, that's what Hawaiian food is, right? All right, next one. We're going a little bit further out now. Taylor Shellfish Farms.
I don't know that one.
God, I want to say like Woodinville, but I don't remember.
I feel like a shellfish farm would have to be on the water, like Alki or something.
You're on the right track.
It's somewhere far though.
Further out, yep.
Yeah, I remember.
It is technically in Bow, which nobody knows usually. I would call it Bellingham. It's right on, Chuckanut Drive.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know if I've even been to Bellingham.
Have you not been up Chuckanut Drive? Okay, you need to go. For anybody listening, if you have not done the Chuckanut, it is the best drive in all of Washington. Chuckanut Drive up to Bellingham, right along the water. You're driving right along the cliff of Chuckanut Mountain.
Why was that name so familiar though? I feel like Joshua said he wanted to eat there or something.
It's like they actually they fish them right there and then bring them in and have the rest on.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
There maybe. Because I have been to some of the places I'm going.
Interesting.
Joshua flew us in a Cessna and we got like breakfast.
Oh.
Caught that day. Was so
It's amazing.
yeah, that was in one of those further out places, but I can't remember.
Yeah. All right, another one a little bit further out, different direction. Harbor Lights.
Got nothing.
Nothing? It's like one of the best restaurants in Tacoma. Right on the water. All right. We're going to get back to easier ones again.
Okay.
The Pink Door.
Seattle.
I haven't eaten there yet.
Haven't.
No.
There.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Don't they have like a show there?
I think it's like a rotating show.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. They've got, because I think it's like 2 sections. I think they've got some kind of show and then like because they've got like a lounge and then a restaurant. It's kind of almost like speakeasy feeling. Like it's low key, it's dark. Yeah. All right. We got to try it. All right. Next one. This one should be really easy. Emery's on Silver Lake.
Is Silver Lake even a city though?
No.
Ever? I can see it in my head on the map. That was a close one.
It's actually a pretty good place. If you happen to find yourself in Silver Lake.
I can probably name like 11 different sushi restaurants in
But Emery's on Silver Lake is nothing. Okay, well, this one's on the east side again,
Okay, maybe I can get this.
but it's not sushi. 520 Bar and Grill.
Funny.
I don't think I've eaten there.
520
The 520.
Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
It's not Redmond,
No.
but I feel like it should be.
You can think.
I don't know.
Really?
And it's probably either Bellevue or Sammamish. Not Redmond.
It is Bellevue. It's right downtown.
Because that's where the 520 goes, right?
There. It's a great little bar and grill downtown Bellevue. They got an outdoor seating area with eatery. Very good happy hour. It is. I can't believe neither of you got that. Oh my gosh.
Sure.
All right. Wow. Congratulations to Kayla. She won. I need to get a prize. I need to get like a trophy, a pass around trophy. I need to get one of those that you hand back and forth when somebody new wins or something.
I like.
Oh, I like that. Like the defending champ. It's like a...
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Survivor Idol.
Oh my God.
Funny.
All
Good
right.
job. So we have 3, 4 that you guys didn't get. So now we have to get Hawaiian, shellfish. Although
The shellfish spot that did oysters in Woodinville. That doesn't make
they're probably
Why wouldn't it be closer to... I don't know.
Right. Woodinville feels like a weird.
And it's,
yeah.
why would it be there? Yeah.
I could see them having it, like an offshoot of one of the other ones. Yeah.
There was something Joshua wanted to try that was similar to that one. Or maybe they opened another location closer in or something.
Maybe.
That name is so familiar. But
So Taylor Shellfish actually supplies a lot of shellfish to other restaurants.
that's
too.
what it is.
They are a supplier, a distributor.
I bet you.
Probably.
Because we just went there. Okay.
Yes, they're a distributor. They supply.
What's
say-
that name? But
yeah, the restaurant is just like they had the whole shellfish farm, and the restaurant's like, oh, we have fresh shellfish. We might as well accelerate it.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. So this week we do not have any listener questions because this is our first episode, and we don't have any good vibes this week. Well, we have lots of good vibes,
Rude.
but future episodes we will be taking good vibes, just happy moments and things that went well in our listeners' lives, and we'll be doing questions, just random questions for our guests and co-hosts and me. If you have a question you would like to send us, you can send it to hello@theseattleexperience.com via email, or you can leave a voicemail or text them to 425-32-4800 and leave a message, and then we will read your questions, or if you leave a voicemail, we will play them on air and we'll answer them. And your good vibes too. So when you have good vibes, have a good week, let us know. We will do those. And that, my friends, is almost a wrap. So we're ending here. I appreciate all the time that you have given.
We do have new episodes every other Thursday. You can get them from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you do get your podcasts.
Absolutely. And the video will be on YouTube, so you can watch the video once it comes out and get your podcast that way if you want. Thank you for joining us. I just want to thank everybody that made it possible. Our podcast is made possible by our co-host, Kayla, Christina Woolen, who you will meet at a future time, James Shute, and our special contributor, Celeste Cummings, who will be featured with her tours. And thank you to Storm for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time today. I know we're running a little late for you. And then for our music, I want to thank musician Sean Bartley, a local Seattle artist who is creating our music for the podcast. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.